Guys, I want to welcome you to another episode of the Franchise Advisory Board podcast, where we bring in experts from around the community, suppliers, brands, etc., to help you build lasting strategies that will create real impact on your brand and help you to thrive and help your franchise owners to succeed. To that end, I've got with me a good friend of mine. If you've listened through all 6 seasons, you've heard Daniel before, but it's been like 5 years, man, since you've been
Has it
on the show.
really?
Yeah, it's been for maybe four, but
Wow.
it's been years since you've been on the show. So glad to have you back. Guys, if you don't know Daniel, let me introduce you just for a second, Daniel. So those who haven't been long-term listeners know who you are. Daniel is the CEO of SendJim, and it sounds just like that. If you don't know SendJim, send like the name Jim, SendJim. But they're a hyper-targeted marketing platform they're all every single owner on the cap table has owned or runs currently a home service business. Daniel's a founder and he's been operating a $3 million floor business or garage floor business. He eats his own dog food daily, right? So these guys are really unique in that they really live and breathe home service success, and their platform is designed to automate a lot of the outreach that some of you guys are struggling with. They're good partners of ours. They integrate into our flow. So they've been around about 10 years, guys. This is not a new platform. They service thousands of home service locations. So SendJim is awesome. And the reason why Daniel's here is because he not only is the founder of this great tech that we're going to talk a little bit about today, why what some ways that you're probably wasting a lot of your marketing dollars and you don't know it. But Daniel, tell us just a little bit more about you and about SendJim before we jump into the actual topic and start laying down some really good content.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me, Dave. I love ClientTether. I love what we do together. As both of us gotten bigger, we've got less time to talk face to face. So I feel really excited about this. But you kind of said it all. Before this, I was an officer in the military, got my MBA, did some fancy consulting job, but I just kept coming back to home service. I grew up, my parents owned a carpet cleaning business. And I just loved entrepreneurship and specifically small business because you can really change people's lives. And I get so passionate about that. And so the number one issue we saw in home service was creating leads, getting return on investment from marketing. That's where businesses tend to fail in this space. And so it's where I've spent my rest of my career. I'm really passionate about it, and I'm excited to be here to talk about it.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. And you got a great team too and great tech. So we'll talk a little bit about that too. But the topic, guys, the reason why Daniel's here is because most of you are wasting probably 95% of your marketing spend.
Yes.
And or more in some cases. I've seen some pretty bad marketing spend results. So Daniel, that was a statement that you made as we were prepping for this. How do you justify
Yeah.
saying that a lot of home service brands, home service franchise brands, are wasting up to 95% of their marketing spend?
Yeah, that's a really good question. And I know it's a little bit of a shocker statement, right, to get people's attention. But the reality of it is we went through this long process because we were, wasting money too. And we were wasting, trying to figure out how do we identify the actual people that are buying our service. And what started me down this path is that there was this big marketing study a while ago that said like only 3-ish% of people in a given market at any given time are actively looking to buy your service. Okay. And you can look at like the number of Google searches for your, keywords and your service you're offering and look at the entire population and do it, divide it. How many people are actually searching versus the people that live here? It's a very, very small percentage. And the numbers can be argued, but the reality is it's a really small percentage. And what we found is like we want to only market. It's obvious that we only want to market to people searching to us, right? And so companies get into this thing like, well, I only want to do Google AdWords because those are the people searching for me. But if you want to grow and get beyond just the people at the bottom of the funnel that are already know that they need the product and they're searching for it, that's where those leads are actually very expensive too, because everybody wants those people, right? And so how do we get in front of other people that are likely to buy your service, but maybe not searching for it today? Those are like the next level of people.
Hmm.
And a lot of brands do this, like they're invested heavily in maybe not like marketing that's going to be bottom of funnel convert today, but getting my brand out there in front of people that are going to be buyers. And the best way to do this in the past was really to use demographics, right? If I ask you, Dave, like, who's going to buy painting or who's going to buy a gutter replacement service? And you're like, well, it doesn't take a genius to say it's probably a homeowner that makes over $120,000 a year. The home value is probably 700,000 or more. And, they're probably this age group. And like, you could rattle off 4 or 5 things, and you could actually get pretty detailed of this if you understand your buyer. But what we found is that this in most populations only gets us to about 40% of the population. So 260 million adults in the United States. If you use typical demographic filters for home service, you're still left with like 100 million people that you could market to. But who could market to 100 million people, right? Like, that's expensive. And even if you take this down to like a small town, right, 100,000 people, or a small city, 100,000 people, and you said, okay, well, I'm going to take it down to 40,000 people. Still a lot of people to market to, right? Like, how do we stay in front of 40,000 people? And so we basically took a lot of customer data. We've over 10 years been able to amass tons of customer data, and with the permission of our clients, we use some of our clients' customer data, and we said, let's take hundreds of thousands of customer records and really understand who's buying home service. And it was absolutely shocking. So I'll stop there. I know I talked a lot, but there might be some questions, alarm bells going off, and I'd love to keep sharing a kind of what the path we went down.
Well, I feel like this is a big hook and it's set, right? Firmly in my cheek. So obviously I want to hear about this, but I do think it's important that we reiterate a couple of key things. One,
Yeah.
that 3% metric, I talk about that all the time, and it seems like it's new news for everybody in the franchise industry. Just like you should respond to leads within 5 minutes or less. News to the franchise. No joke. It's like a freaking dinosaur era sometimes, and with respect to sales and marketing automation in
Yeah.
this industry. But the 3% is real. But what you're talking about is getting what I like to refer to as off-market leads, right? So there's the person who's
Yes.
like, I actively need a thing. Like, my garage floor is a disaster. I need to get my garage floor fixed before my son brings all of his gear to put in my garage, and I want it to be clean and nice while he stores it while he's on his military leave or whatever, right? There's a reason why
Yeah.
there's like an immediate need for any service. But there's all the other people that if they understood, or that if you could connect with them in a unique way, they would be interested in your service too, and they're not actively seeking. So there's no way for you to get to them. They're not on Angie or
Yes.
Thumbtack. They're not on Google searching for it. So creating a market means you're the
Yeah.
only person in their mind. It means your likelihood to close that lead is higher. So I just want to reiterate to people, start thinking more about how do I attract and find off-market leads. Some brands I
Yes.
work with, they'll do 5 up, 5 downs, where I put a yard sign in the yard, I go do a thing, and on my lunch break I go up 5 doors and I go down 5 doors. And I knock and I drop off a handbill on the door and I introduce myself. So there are people that are trying to do it, because some services like roofing and flooring and some things, windows, the homes are all about the same age in neighborhoods,
Yes.
and so yeah, I can probably find one or two, but there's a lot more you can do, and that's what we're going to get into that. So let me now be
Okay.
quiet, because you're the guest and the expert here, not me. Tell us a little bit more about this thread that we're pulling on right now of how do you really get into the heads of off-market leads so you can have a private channel of people who are interested in your service.
I love that term, off market leads. I think of real estate, right? Where it's like, you want to live in this neighborhood when there's only 4 people selling their home. And so realtors have kind of figured this out too, right? Like the old trick of writing handwritten letters and putting them in people's mailbox of people that might be interested. And it does work, right? People find homes like this. So I like that term. So what we did is we took all this data and we hired a data science team, and we said, hey, take all this data and tell me what about it identifies these people as home service buyers. And so what they did is they took hundreds of thousands of people. Then they say, for every single one of those people, we're going to append or add data attributes about them. So over 250 data attributes. And they could be things like, do they have a pet? Do they own their home? What's their debt to income ratio? Do they shop at Target? Do they have what type of car do they have? Do they own their car? Do they have a car payment? Like, it goes on and on and on. And we're looking up this consumer data for every one of those people. So then we've got a huge matrix of data, right? Like, just crazy amounts of data. And then we take that and we say, okay, what are the commonalities among home service buyers that maybe indicate that they're likely to buy home service? And some really interesting things come out about this, that you would never be able to find these people through traditional targeting methods. So things like if they own an e-reader, like a Kindle, they are like 3 times more likely to buy home service than the average person. Why? I have no idea, but that's what the data says. Okay. Things if they've donated to a religious organization, if they belong to a country club, if they've traveled abroad, their personality type, have they visited a museum in the last 12 months? Do they have a magazine subscription? Like there's all this crazy stuff that they have in common. And we're like, I don't truly understand why, but something about these type of people, they also buy home service. So you're like, okay, we paid a ton of money. We hired these really smart people. They use AI and all this technology to pull out these insights. And they give you like a 100-page report. And you're like, this is awesome. Now what do I do with it? Right. And so then we spent a bunch of time figuring out like, okay, how do I find people who have e-readers, visit a museum? Right. And so what we did is we built this tool inside SendJim that allows you to say, okay, here's my market. This is the area I want to work in my market, and go find more people that are like this. And in a matter of a few seconds, we're pulling all of the people that live in that area that you define. And then we're matching up those attributes and we're saying who are most likely in this area to buy that service. And we can categorize like into 4 categories, like 4 times more likely, 3 times more likely, 2 times more likely, or average to buy home service. And what we found is that, like we can typically narrow it to the top like 6% on average in a market of highly likely buyers. And those buyers are 4.8 times more likely to buy your home service than if you picked a random person, not from the whole population, but a random person from that 40% where you would have been marketing to had you just used demographics.
And now let me ask about that. So what you do with that is the most important thing, right? So you're saying that if I've got this neighbor and I know you guys can draw a little radius map, right?
Yeah.
Let's say I want to just look at people in this little neighborhood. Let's say I work in Florida and I want to focus on the villages. That's a big area actually, but let's say I just
Yeah.
want to focus on that. Pretty uniform demographics and psychographics, et cetera, right? You're saying that I could do that, and because of the personality profiles of the people, the psychographics of the people that are, and personality traits and behaviors, I could actually then focus on that area, and it would highlight 6% of that population, and neighbors, complete neighbors would have totally different likelihoods to buy. So then I could focus only on the people that are the most likely to buy my services based upon all this deep data analysis you guys have done. And then I could like laser target all of my mailers to go out to these guys in a campaign.
Yes, that's exactly right. And in the village, somewhere like the villages where it's really homogenous, like everybody's very similar,
Mhm.
you might have like instead of we can narrow down to 6%, maybe like 30% of the villages are buyers. But it's better than targeting the whole neighborhood, which is what we would have done before with demographics, because every home's the same value and everybody's the same age and et cetera. So that's exactly right. And it's very, very powerful. And I'll just give you like one insight. So people that if you've taken Myers-Briggs, if you have a J in your personality type, so you're judgy,
Mhm.
like you're much higher likelihood to buy home services, which kind of makes sense, right? If you're like, oh, well, I like my stuff to be nice and I want to make sure other people, like I'm judgy and I want to make sure like I come across as the right type of person. Like maybe you have that mentality, and I'm not knocking those people, but like you like your stuff to be nice, and you're probably more likely to take care of the painting outside and have the fence repaired and things like that, right? So it makes sense. But knowing that, then it's like, well, how do you find those people? Do you knock on their door and be like, hey, what's your Myers-Briggs? Oh, never mind. Have a great day. So like that's been the hard part, is that even if you found this stuff out, is like, how do you target those people?
Yeah. So let me ask the question back to you. So how do you target these people? Like, how do you
Yeah.
find and
So
target them?
yeah, just complex algorithms and tons of data has allowed us to actually target these people. In our tool, you can go in there and you can say like, I want to hit this radius, or you can actually draw shapes on a map and say, this is the area I want to work in. And then it's just in a matter of a few seconds, it's going to find these people based on your industry. So we have different data models depending on your industry, right? So people buying window cleaning might be different than people that are buying garage floor coating, because one's like a luxury but low ticket. More people are buying that versus, this is a luxury high ticket item, might be a different buyer. So really, really cool stuff. I honestly go in there and play with the tool all the time just because I think it's cool and it's novel. And I think we're the first people in home service to have this. but we took a really expensive like marketing course that's built for people really like Fortune 500 marketing executives. And I'm like, I'm going to bite the bullet. We're going to do this. And we did it. And it opened my eyes to this is how companies, I shouldn't say people, companies with tons of data can operate and tons of money and teams, data science teams, et cetera. And it kind of was off limits to the home service industry, right? Like none of us, even at a 10 million, $20 million, like if you could hire someone to buy, you had the data, let's say you got that far and you had, 50,000 customer records, there's a ton to get to, but then you paid 20 grand to have a home service or a report built, right? Like by a data science team, then like how do you go find those leads? So it's really been off access for us, and I'm just really excited to bring it to our industry and kind of like let the little guys, if you will, myself included, compete on the level of like some of these Fortune 500 companies.
Yeah, well, the thing I love about that is you're leveling the playing field. And so, and in the home service industry, who have you got that's massive, right? You've got like your Neighborlies and your Authority Brands and your HFCs, right? And some of them, not all actually, but some of them actually do have some data scientists that have done some of this stuff, but most of them don't even have this much data and this much ability to focus their marketing. So I hope they're working with you.
Yeah,
But what happens now is like let's say I'm a young roofing company franchise, and I've got 6 locations. I've got 2 people in my home office, right? Like they're trying to build the business and they're investing as much as they can, but they're not going to have enough money for a data scientist for about 12 years. So, yeah, but this now gives them the ability to offload that expense into using a tool like yours, and now they can dig deep, laser target, laser focus. I mean, roofing's a tough one, major big ticket item, but there are certain indicators when somebody needs a new roof. So, I bet
yeah.
that's a huge opportunity for some of those industries, painting, windows, flooring, some of the bigger ticket items in home services, plumbing, HVAC, electrical. Like, there's
Yes.
some real big opportunities.
Yeah. And like you said, layering on what we already knew was smart, right? Like marketing to the neighbor or the customer, or if you're a roofer, for the example you used, we know this area just got hit by hail. Like, let's use that intelligence and say, let's circle that area or highlight that area, and then use this on top of that. And we can just get so targeted. So instead of, sending 10,000 pieces, let's send 1,000 pieces. And let's make
Yeah.
sure that we're going to hit the likely buyers. And I want to be really clear about this. It doesn't mean that they're in the market today. We know those people
Mhm.
are on Google searching. It
Yeah.
means that they are at some period very likely to buy your service. And so the name of the game now for this type of marketing is how can I stay in front of them long enough to like, I know they're going to buy my service, let's say over the next 3 years. How do I stay in front of them for 3 years? We're one of the tools, right? There's also other tools that are out there too, like digital, TV, radio, things like that. But you only see bigger brands doing that because they're the only ones that have figured this out, right? Is
Hmm.
that, hey, I don't measure one of the biggest mistakes I see, Dave, is people say like, oh, I use a tool like this and then, it didn't work. And I'm like, well, you sent one mailing, or it'd be like the equivalent of running one TV commercial, right? And it's like these people, the chance that they're ready to buy your service the day they saw that commercial or the day they got the postcard or the day they saw your one Facebook ad is kind of silly, right? Like the chance is very low if we know they're going to buy over the next 3 years. But if we can stay in front of them over 3 years, then we know like the chance is very high that they're going to buy. And
Hmm.
if you're the one that's been in front of them, they're going to buy from you.
Oh yeah. Well, here's the crazy thing that I find about that is let's go back to well, let's just use the mailer for an example, and let's use the math. So let's say you design a mailer, you send it out to 1,000 homes. You're like, okay, I'm going to kill it. Well, you might have 30 responses, right? 30,
Yeah.
3% of people are actually in the market looking to buy. You get 30 responses, but then what do you do with them? And that's a big challenge that I see. A lot of these brands, like they're like, well, I did mailers and I had 30 people fill out a lead form, and I reached out to all of them within 24 hours, and nothing happened. Sometimes, and I say this a ton to people and brands, it's not a lead source problem, typically.
Yeah.
So even if they did that, you did 1,000 mailers, EDDM, flyers to all these targeted people, and let's say they don't even use your new super tool, right? That helps get
Yeah.
hyper targeted who's going to buy. 30 responses. How many of those should turn into deals in an average home service company? At a minimum, at least 3 deals, but hopefully about 6, right? But I've got brands that might turn that into 40 or into like
Yeah.
40%, more, right? So 12. So
Yeah.
it doesn't matter. But the problem is they're not doing anything to follow up. They think that that flyer is going to convert into dollars, and they are in the middle between the lead and the dollars, and they're the problem. So
Yeah.
you guys see this all the time. But how should people be shifting the way that they follow up once they do get these leads? Because I feel like that's the rest of the equation, and sometimes it's just as important as the actual lead gen itself.
Yeah, that's a really good topic. And like where I really get passionate, and I know ClientTether does a great job of this.
Yeah.
And this is why I love talking about this, right? It's because, and I'm going to use an analogy because I this is the way I think. But it's like we become addicted to leads, right? And there's a good reason for it. I'm not blaming because I was addicted to leads and I still am a little bit as a home service business owner and even as an owner of SendJim, right? I want more leads. But it's an easy way for us to like project onto other people of like, oh, my marketing agency is the issue, or my marketing is, or I need to spend more, I need better marketing. But the reality is like we become addicted because that's how we had to start our business, right? There's no, if, how do you start a business? You have to get your first lead, right? And you have to get your first sale. And then how do you grow your business? Well, I need more leads and I need more leads. And pretty soon you find yourself 5 years, 10 years into your business. And that is the only way in your mind that you know how to grow the business is to get more leads. And it's like going to the gym. This is the analogy. Okay. It's like going to the gym. And the first thing you do in the gym is like, well, I've never been to the gym before. I'm going to start by doing biceps. Like everyone likes big biceps, right? That's cool. And so like, but it's like, that's the only exercise you do for 5 years. Like your biceps are going to be huge, but your body is not going to be strong,
Hmm.
right? Like you're going to have back issues. Your legs are going to be weak. Like you really aren't that healthy if you have massive biceps. It's kind of silly. But that's what we're doing with leads, right? We're just saying, this is the only muscle I know is to get new leads to grow. And so that's the only thing I work out. But what we don't realize is we've amassed this incredibly valuable large asset, which is unconverted leads, unconverted quotes, customers that did work with us only once, but should be doing work with us multiple times, or maybe they did 4 times, but they should be doing it 6 times, right? And so we have to learn these other skills through nurturing and smart, intelligent nurturing to
Hmm.
build the rest of our business to be healthy like the rest of our body. Does that make sense?
It's a great analogy. When I was in high school, we had a gym, but no coach. And so in the off season, I lifted weights a lot, but guess what I did?
Bench press.
Bench,
Yeah.
curl, and shoulders. Like I looked awesome unless you looked from my waist down. And then the wind
Yeah.
would blow and I'd be like, whoa, and I'd fall over, right? So yeah, definitely get the analogy, and it felt a little personal. So thanks for I appreciate that.
Well, it's me too. Right. Like I have these chicken legs. It's like way back in the day. Like to your point, when I was in college, all I did was like, that's the first thing you do when you learn about the gym. You're like, oh, I don't want to squat. I don't know anything about that, but I'll do bench press all day.
Yeah, I don't want that bar to dig into my neck. Ow. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah.
No, but great analogy. Let's dig into that. So people are addicted to getting new leads, and that's like they have a singular focus on that. Now, how do they break the habit, right? How do we get
Yeah.
them to start working on the other muscle groups of their sales engine of their business?
Yeah. And this is where I say like 95% of your marketing could be wasted, right? Like you might have a really good lead generation uh, flywheel or system, which is great. But if you're not converting those leads at the appropriate amount into quotes, and you're not converting those quotes into jobs, and you're not retaining those customers, that's wasted marketing dollars.
Mhm.
And so if you start at the top of the funnel, right, we get those leads that come in and you say, oh, well, what happens to those leads is probably a question you and I would ask a business. And they say, oh, well, I have my sales rep call them. Okay. And then what? Like if
Yeah,
they
yeah.
don't convert, let's say 10% of the people pick up, then what happens? Do you have a system to make sure they're called a bunch of times, right? So like in my business, as an example, we have someone, our sales reps calling 5 times, right? And texting. Every time they call, they text too. And so we're reaching out 10 times, but that only lasts for a period of like, let's call it 30 days. And then they've kind of worked that lead. Well, that non-responsiveness or no can mean like a bunch of things, right? It can mean there's a reason they filled out the form, they're interested, but it's really not a no forever. It's a no right now, right? It's, hey, I'm busy. Something got busy at work. My kid's got a lot going on. Their kid got sick. I got to go on a work trip. And so like they filled out the form, they've showed interest, but they just not right now. Okay. And
Hmm.
so we got to say, don't throw them in the trash because they said not right now. We got to say, okay, well, we know they're high, just the same concept, right? We know they're high, if they fill out the form once, they're highly, highly likely to buy in the next 2 years. So how do we stay in front of them? Right. And
Yeah,
that's, you know, we can't expect our salesperson to call that person for the next 2 years. That'd be a waste of resources. But that's
totally
where
agree.
tools like ClientTether and SendJim come in with the automation to be able to say, okay, well, we can stay in front of them for 2 years and do it in a meaningful, nurturing way.
Yeah, 100% agree. It usually when we work with brands that struggle with like maximizing their ROI on lead gen, right?
Yeah.
On their marketing spend, it's usually not a lead source problem. It's usually a sales problem, a sales process problem, a sales tool problem. And what I mean by that is we'll see a lot. I mean, in the franchise industry is just rife with crappy data from the 90s, right? Of call everyone within 4 hours. What? Like it, and even then they still don't. But there's a kind of lackadaisical approach. Home services is even worse because often there isn't a dedicated sales guy. It's the guy cranking the wrench, which is the one who's supposed to be answering the phone, and he
Yeah.
doesn't want to answer the phone. He wants to crank the wrench. And so
Yeah.
what will happen is these customers will sometimes reach out to them. Like I had to chase six different contractors. I had to chase every single one of them. I found their Facebook pages. I need to get my deck replaced. So I literally, it's a $20,000
I was gonna say
project.
you're trying to spend $20,000.
Yeah, and I didn't want to, but I had to because it's an older home and it was a wooden deck, and I'd get on there and like stand and shake my legs, it would like the whole thing would rock, and it was like 20 feet by 60. It was huge, and I was like, uh-oh, this is gonna like tear the side of my house up. So like I was motivated, I had the money, and people would not respond to me, and
It's
so
wild.
yeah, it's insane to me. And I was like, are you serious? None of you guys need 20 grand right now, and it ended up being a little bit more than that, but I was like. The one guy who followed up was an old timer. He just called me. He's like, "Hey, sorry, I was on the job. I
Yeah.
do one job at a time. Yep, I'll come look at your house tomorrow, and we'll get you on the queue. It might start in about 5 weeks." And like, he got my job. He got the
Yeah.
job.
You want to know a crazy statistic I just read is that 80% of home service buyers buy from the first contractor they talk to. Not the first one they fill out the lead form from, not the first one that they, do what give a quote from. It's the first one they talk to. Why? Because Dave's busy, I'm busy. The type of people that are buying home service, they have busy lives. They make good money. That means they have a demanding job. They typically have families, right? They're not sitting at home thinking like, oh, I can't wait to call 5 contractors today. It's like if you're the first one and you pick up and you're responsive and you're professional and you're on time, like it's your business to lose. But if you don't, talk to them first, you wasted that opportunity.
And here's the crazier part to me is that owner spent $100 to get me to find him and click on his link
Yes.
on Google. Some of them spent more than that. If I filled out, so I didn't go to Angie and Thumbtack, but I did go directly to people. But if I had gone to like Angie or Thumbtack, each one of those contractors was paying 80, 90, $100 for that lead, and they're
Yeah.
not following up with it. And then they're complaining and saying, "Oh, well, Thumbtack leads are the worst, or Angie leads are the worst." They're not. They're the contractor's the worst because I have brands that convert 40% of their leads coming through some of those channels because they're the first to follow up. You're right. I call it the Ricky Bobby principle. If you ain't first, you're last. And it's
Yeah.
totally true. Totally true. In fact, that statistic is skewed down a little bit for the non-urgent, but if you're in like plumbing, electrical, HVAC, where there's usually some urgency to the need or restoration,
Probably near
99, it's like
100. Yeah.
99%. It's like almost 100%. If you just pick up your phone, the job is yours. And
Yeah.
yeah, it's crazy that people just won't pick up their phone and call, or just put a tool in place that will call for them. That's what I
Yeah.
prefer.
Oftentimes the limiting factor is our own business process, right? And our ability to be efficient with our leads and our money. It's funny, I hired a new marketing agency recently for my garage floor business. And he's like, oh, I told him the size. And he's like, oh, that's pretty big. And he's like, what are your goals? And I told him, and he's like, oh, I don't, we might have to go to other markets to get that. And I'm like, no, we don't. Like I'm going to be way more efficient with every dollar we spend than anybody you've ever worked with, right? And it's because of the automation and all of that. But a lot of people would say, well, you can't build that big of a business in this market. I don't think that's true. For most of our businesses, either one, they're plateaued because they are working only leads that are bottom of the funnel conversion, right? And so that's only the GMB, or it's only the AdWords, and you're not creating your own demand for your service.
Mhm.
So that's one problem. And the second problem is there's enough leads even at the bottom of the funnel that are ready to convert, but you're just not converting enough of them. So, a crazy thing I'll share with you, which sounds unbelievable, is we have a marketing campaign that goes out quarterly through SendJim.
Mhm.
And you could probably do this through ClientTether also, but it goes out quarterly to all the people that said no to our quote. So this isn't like people that like, oh, we lost touch with, or they never responded to the quote. It's like, no, they actively said no, or I'm going to go with somebody else or whatever. And we just have a simple message that goes out to them like, hey, we're just going through our system. We noticed, about so many months ago, you said no to the quote. I'm just curious if you ever had this work, if you ended up having the work done.
Yes, so
Right. And then
smart,
it's
so
a
smart.
yes or no. And a lot of times it's no. And it's like, hey, well, if you're still interested, I could give you, would you mind me sending over the quote with a discount on it? We got a promotion. Anyways, I did that to quotes that were 6 months old, and we sold another $100,000 of work to people that told us no. Like,
Yeah.
does that tell you like there's opportunity out there? It's crazy.
No, it's hysterical. Like there, and what I guess what people don't realize is that inside of your sales funnel, there are limitless opportunities to nurture and engage with leads. You just named a big one that people,
Yeah.
we do this with people and have massive impact on ROI. Like they'll pay for our software for the next 10 years just by doing one
Yes.
little campaign like that. And you make everybody super happy because our goal and your goal is the same. We want our clients to make a lot of money and make that money faster and make it easier than they were before. That's it. But
Yeah.
there's the leads that don't respond. And I've had brands say this. I've had franchise development teams tell me this, that, oh, well, if they don't really want to talk to me, then why would I waste my time reaching out to them? Wrong. They don't want to talk to you right now because their kid just fell down the stairs or their mom just got sick or their dog just swallowed a rope. I just talked to somebody who had to like go get a rope extracted out of the stomach of their dog. And I'm like, how does that even happen? At
Yeah.
what point did that dog say, this is still a good idea? But anyway, so things happen and people disappear and then but their home didn't fix itself. This isn't the future yet, right? Our homes don't repair themselves. That roof still needs to be repaired. That window's still broken. The caulking's still bad in their shower. Like so that what people forget is unresponsive leads need to be nurtured just as much as new leads do, but with a slightly slower cadence and a little less assertiveness, right? But you need to stay in front. And then you need to nurture everybody in your funnel after as soon as you give them a quote. They have shiny object syndrome, man. So they will immediately move on to the next quote and forget about the 17 quotes they issued last week. And if they come in, they come in. I hear that all the time.
Yeah.
It's craziness. Where are some other areas you see people just woefully being negligent to their pipelines?
Yeah, I think those are huge ones, right? The whole pipeline, if you look at lead generation spending, first of all, you should be maxing out as much as you can for the bottom of the funnel. So if there's people out there searching for your product, you need to be marketing to them. But then it's the people that creating your own demand, like we talked about. But another really big one that I see people missing is people that we talked about the filling out the forms and marketing to people that give us their contact information. What about the people that come to your website and you don't market to them, right? Like that's another huge number of people. If you look at like web traffic, I don't know the stats, but I'm going to guess here. It's like 3 to 5% of people that come to your website actually fill out a form, right? So what about those other people? Are you remarketing to them? There's ways through SendJim now you can do that in print. There's also digital, right? Is very effective with social media and display ads, etc. But you should be going after people that come to your site. If they were going far enough to find you on the internet and then go to your site and then not fill out the form, like they are a hot lead that you just don't know about. And so to your point, like you paid for the click, you paid to get them to the site and then to not do anything about it. And I think most people, maybe it's not in the negligent bucket because they don't know that that's
Yeah.
technology is available to them, but it is. And if you do know, you are negligent because you got to do something about that. The 95% of people that visit your site aren't going to do anything. So how do we, stay in front of them until they do something?
Yeah, with filters. I will say with filters because I look at our web traffic sometimes like, what?
customers.
yeah, why is the Department of Defense on my website? Like this is bizarre. But the reality is because that's that person's day job, and they might be looking at buying a franchise actually. So
Yeah,
that's one reason why. But knowing who your real avatar is and making sure that your retargeting is hitting only those people that match, big opportunity there. And what about what have you seen work well post service delivery? I think that's another big area we see tons of negligence, and I'll call it that.
yes,
It's negligence because of ignorance, but it's still negligence where there's a huge opportunity there. Like what do you see people
yeah.
doing effectively to nurture those leads after they become customers?
Two things, right? The first thing is capture a review. If you're not capturing a review, you are falling way behind. Not too long ago, I took Claude and I just asked it, for those not familiar, it'd be like a chat GPT with
Mm.
AI.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, who are the top garage floor coating companies in my area? Just to see and I asked it, well, why did you rank those that way? And it said, oh, these are the ones with the most reviews, right? So AI knows that companies that are getting the most reviews and frequent reviews that are new, they know people are having good experience with them and they're going to rank them. And so the days of your website, driving all the traffic are going to be limited. The more we see AI, I don't know about you, Dave, but I use AI to search for, it's almost replaced Google at this point, which is kind of crazy in a very short period of time. And so if someone's not coming to my website, how are they going to find me? So reviews are incredibly important. Even if you've got someone going out there and searching, you search for a deck builder, I search for a contractor the other day. The first thing I'm looking at are like who have the most reviews in my area.
Hmm.
Right. And so social proof is massive. If you go buy something on Amazon, if you buy something almost anywhere, you're looking at reviews. If you're not, I don't, I don't know how you're choosing, but that's a huge thing, right? And so if you're not collecting reviews, it's a huge miss. I see my competitors that have literally been in business for 3 times as long as me, and they have like 29 reviews. And you're like,
Oh,
I don't know what to tell you, man. Like you're in trouble.
yeah, same
Um,
thing. I was just coaching a brand this last weekend, and they've been literally some of these guys 25 years in business. They have 9 reviews, and I was
it's
like, dude,
insane.
what signals are you telling Google and the AI when your last review was more than a year ago? And they're
Yeah.
like,
Are
uh-oh.
you still in business?
Yeah, you could see their faces. They're like, "Oh no!" But it's because asking for a review in person is awkward. So you got to have a way to automate that. And what a
Yeah,
better way to do it
automate it.
than you can text them and email them like through our platform. Cool. You can call them and ask them. But how about if you send a handwritten note telling them thanks for letting you
Yeah.
do the job, and you have a QR code in there that takes them right to the Google review? Even
And
better,
frankly, the best thing is all of those, right? So
right?
our technicians,
Yeah.
when they finish, are like, "Hey, if you wouldn't mind, we're like our performance is based on customer satisfaction, not commission. So if you wouldn't mind leaving us a review, you're going to get a text message after, right? They don't have to say no, but it's like, and we give them a thank you card right on site with care, like after job instructions, right? Like this is how you care for your new floor, blah blah blah. It's really nice. Here's $300 off for anyone you refer, so you can hand it to them. And oh, by the way, here's a review QR code, right? So we're trying to get it all right there. And then we do the text and email too, right? And we're following up if they don't respond. So that, and then you got to do that. Like that, I just can't emphasize that enough. And it's part of marketing, because it helps convert your marketing investment. The second thing is the customer asset, that like the customer list is a massive asset that you've acquired over time, and then you
Mhm.
don't market to them. If you are not marketing to your customer list, like you can pretty much stop marketing externally and start here, because this is going to give you the biggest bang for your buck. If you've got a customer and it depends on your business, right? But if you're in deck staining and you're like, well, every deck needs to be stained every 2 years. I'm making this up. I have no idea. But if it's every 2 years, right? And it's been like 24 months and you haven't heard from Dave and you stained his deck 2 years ago, like hot lead, right? Like he already probably knows he needs to do it. Dave knows he needs his deck stained, but like he just hasn't got around to doing it because that's how we are. Like my windows are dirty, and the window cleaner that I love to use, I've been needing for like 12 months. I probably would have had him clean twice already had they reached out to me, but like that's never the most urgent thing. So
Yeah.
you got to market to your customer list. Like it's a huge opportunity.
Yeah, totally agree with that. Man, I think you and I, like you said at the beginning, we could probably record about 5 of these episodes together,
Yeah.
but let's wrap on that thought. Key
Yeah.
takeaways are there are new ways to leverage data to engage people that are off market, highly likely to buy, 4.8 times more likely to buy. Isn't that the stat you just shared with me?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah, so there's new tech. Get in touch with these guys and talk to them about it. But also the nurturing throughout the funnel. You got to engage at every layer of that funnel, no matter how deep they are or how high they are. You got to engage and re-engage and stay engaged.
Yeah.
That is the secret to decreasing your marketing spend and increasing your marketing ROI and hitting your growth goals. And man, Daniel, I think we'll have to do this again sometime soon. And thanks for
Yeah.
joining us on the podcast today.
We definitely need to do it in less than 5 years. And it was a blast. Thanks for having me. And hopefully we can chat again in a much shorter time period this time.
Yeah, we'll do better next time. Thanks, Daniel.
Hey, thanks, Dave.